Let's look at clarity, one of the 5 components. Clarity is the most important part of messaging. So many companies don't get it. They just go into shoving testimonials down your throat and trying like fancy big words, a lot of buzzwords and jargon and all that stuff, and thinking that it makes them look cool and interesting and, you know, whatever the idea is, but it's wrong. The idea is wrong. The thing is that people don't care until they get it. Somebody lands on your website for the first time, they're unfamiliar with your brand, they're like, what is it, what is it, what is it, what is it? You're above the fold area of your website, especially in the key landing pages, your homepage, obviously, some of the other key landing pages. It needs to answer questions like, where am I? What can I do here? And why should I do it here? Right? So you want to lead with category. You want to lead with the category. This is an email marketing tool, right? This is a message testing tool. This is a car. You know, sometimes in car cases, they show a picture of a car. I get it, right? In B2B software, not so obvious, right? So many companies get into like, we're elevating world's consciousness. Like, okay, that's great, but like, what is it, right? So you need to lead with the category. Take a page out of media, like how journalists make a story about a company. They always describe the company through the category lens. This email marketing tool, this live chat provider, this marketing agency, they always say, what is it? So many websites don't. So, Blaine, what is it? If they don't get it, they're not going to buy it. After you made it clear, what is it, the category, you explain the problem it solves. I need to understand which problem it solves for me, and obviously, ideally, I have this problem. How do you describe the problem? This is where message mining comes in. Message mining is essentially you go and you gather data that your target customers have left about your type of product. If you're a consumer site, you go to Amazon and read the reviews there if you can tell apart which ones are real, which ones are fake. In B2B's case, you go to G2, you go to Capterra, and so on and so forth. And you look at the reviews of your product and your competitor product and see how they describe the problems. You also do the surveys that we talked about earlier. You do a survey and ask about their pain points and see which specific words they use to describe the problems. And also, if you describe like the solutions, like if you solve this problem, you get these benefits. How are they describing the benefits? Which words do they use? Because your copy, it needs to join the conversation in somebody's head, right? They need to use the same language. And you get that through message mining, review mining. A lot of B2B websites use a lot of jargon and buzzwords. So it's okay to an extent, but mostly not. So let's talk about this. People think that if I'm a B2B software, my buyer is also a fancy B2B person. Let's call our buyer Bob. Maybe Bob is VP marketing. Now, at work, Bob is B2B Bob, and it goes home and becomes B2C Bob. Is that how we think? No. Bob is Bob throughout the day. Bob is Bob, right? And so you think that when Bob is like probably not going to the office, working from home, in his underwear, and then you talk about, elevating the world's consciousness, we ain't gonna care, right? You can use simple human language, use whatever you say. This needs to be a phrase you would actually use in a conversation with your colleague, your brother, your mom, right? Jargon is justified when it's how industry calls something, right? Like if you're selling ABM software and the buyers are buying ABM software, you don't need to explain like, oh, well, we are the enterprise sales where we like create a pre-list of target accounts, and then, you don't need to like dumb it down, right? If your buyer knows what's ABM, you use ABM, right? But besides industry, let's say definitions and think concepts like ABM, that's fine. You don't want to use like other we're synergistically trying to energize the marketplace dynamics. Nobody speaks like that. None of that stuff. Another way to improve clarity on websites is to be specific versus vague. So many companies are overly vague about what it is, how it works, all that stuff. So instead of like, increase your sales, super vague, because most companies sell, make more money and save time. It's so boring. It's so vague. You need to be specific, you know, like average customer increases their pipeline value by 472%. Obviously, it needs to be true. You need to have some sort of a quantified statement there. Or let's say pizza delivery. We're the fastest pizza delivery in town. Who's going to believe that? Superlatives is a big no-no. Nobody's believing superlatives. All right? It adds to the vagueness. It destroys credibility. If you say, we deliver pizzas in 15 minutes. Wow, that's specific. And it's credible. I don't doubt it. Wow, that's great. I want pizza in 15 minutes. Versus fastest delivery in town, right? Specific versus vague. Then short sentences. How people read is like, the shorter the sentence, the easier it is to understand. Maybe you want to like copy paste the whole copy on your page and put it into like a Hemingway app or something. It will just show you which sentences are overly long. Essentially, whenever you have like a comma, like blah, 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 comma, blah, 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 comma, blah, blah, blah. That should be 3 sentences. And if you just want to say, it's easy, fast, and cheap, well, those should be bullet points rather than using commas. So commas typically is a sign that this sentence should be breaking apart. Choppy. Choppy is what you want. Short sentences, choppy sentences. If you have paragraphs, no more than 3 lines. I mean, 2 is better. 1 sentence would be ideal, but obviously you want to also communicate. You don't want to land too much on the other side where you don't provide enough product information. Also, people won't buy that. So short paragraphs. When it comes to imagery and graphics on your website, those things are also part of communication. That is why so many websites who use illustrations, you know, weird people with like real skinny long arms and whatever the graphic style is called, is just a bad idea. Like this is where you understand that brand people or design people are owning the website and they're not thinking about communication and messaging. Right? The purpose of a website is to communicate something to the target customer. If the images are not helping to communicate the messaging, they're the wrong graphics, wrong imagery. So really the rule of thumb is that you always want to use real screenshots over illustrations. You know, there might be some edge cases where illustrations might be fine, but in 99% of cases, people want to see real screenshots. When I analyze winter message test data and I see hundreds and hundreds of B2B message tests, basically TLDR is people are always screaming, show me the product, show me real screenshots. Yeah? Real screenshots help communicate the message. Another thing to improve clarity, turn questions into answers. I see so many subheads that are phrased in the form of a question. Why should you sign up with our company? That's a terrible subhead. Instead of that, just say what the answer is. Sign up with our company because, give the reason. Don't ask questions, give answers. And why is that? It's because how people read. Most people skim. They only read the subheads. And you want them to be able to just read your main headline and subheads and scroll to the bottom and get the gist of it. Get the 90% of it, because that's how most people read. And if they read like just the subheads and they still have no clue what it is and how it works, you have a problem. Right? Make key messaging visible to all visitors without needing interaction is another key thing. So often people are like, you create these tabs, or like there are these dots you need to click to show more information, or you require a click to go to another page to read about this or that. What happens is that 90% of people don't see that content. And sometimes that's fine. It might be supplemental content, because really your homepage should only address like 3, maximum 5 key messages you want to communicate. So if it's, beyond that, it should go, onto a sub page or whatever. But sometimes people want to know, and of course you find that out through messages and where are the gaps where like people read everything and they still don't know something. That's a sign that that needs to be on that particular page and visible right away. It doesn't require a click. So requiring clicks and like hiding content behind tabs, typically a bad idea. Like either you want to show it right away or you move it to a sub page. Right?